I remember the day I finally decided to end things with Alex. Our relationship had been a roller coaster, filled with intense highs and devastating lows. The final straw came when I discovered Alex had been lying to me about something trivial, yet it was emblematic of the larger issues that plagued our relationship. The constant manipulation, the gaslighting, the suffocating control. Breaking free felt like coming up for air after being underwater for far too long. The weeks following the breakup were a blur of mixed emotions. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief, but also a lingering fear that Alex wouldn't let go easily. There were countless messages and calls, all of which I ignored, hoping that radio silence would send a clear message. My friends were my lifeline during this time, constantly reassuring me that I had made the right decision. It was during this period of healing and self-discovery that I met Jamie. It was a serendipitous encounter at a coffee shop on a rainy afternoon. I was buried in a book, trying to escape my thoughts, when Jamie asked if they could share my table since the place was packed. I looked up, and there was something in Jamie's eyes, a warmth and sincerity, that made me say yes. We started talking, and before I knew it, hours had flown by. Jamie was everything Alex wasn't: kind, attentive, and genuine. We exchanged numbers, and from that day forward, we were inseparable. Our relationship blossomed quickly, and for the first time in a long while, I felt genuinely happy. However, as I was starting to rebuild my life with Jamie, I began to notice unsettling signs that Alex was still lurking in the shadows. It started with small things: a familiar car parked near my apartment, anonymous calls that would hang up as soon as I answered. At first, I dismissed these as mere coincidences. After all, Alex lived in the same city, and bumping into each other occasionally was bound to happen. One evening, Jamie and I decided to take a walk in the park. It was a perfect day: crisp air, golden leaves crunching under our feet, and a stunning sunset casting a warm glow over everything. We were holding hands, laughing about something silly, when I saw Alex. Standing by a tree, half hidden in the shadows, Alex was staring at us with an intensity that sent chills down my spine. I froze, and Jamie noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" Jamie asked, following my gaze. "That's Alex," I whispered, my voice trembling. Jamie squeezed my hand reassuringly. "Let's keep walking," they said, guiding me away. I glanced back once more, but Alex was gone. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I told Jamie everything, about the breakup, the obsessive behavior, and the recent unsettling incidents. Jamie was supportive, suggesting we document everything and consider involving the authorities if things escalated. Days turned into weeks, and the eerie incidents continued. Alex's car was frequently spotted near Jamie's place, and there were more anonymous calls and messages, some of them vaguely threatening. It was as if Alex was everywhere and nowhere at once, a ghost haunting my every move. The real turning point came one evening when Jamie and I were having dinner at our favorite restaurant. We were mid-conversation when I received a text from an unknown number. It was a picture of Jamie and me taken just moments earlier from outside the restaurant. My heart pounded in my chest as I showed the message to Jamie. We both knew it was time to take action. The police were sympathetic, but explained that without direct threats or physical harm, there was little they could do. It was frustrating and disheartening, but we were determined not to let Alex's actions control our lives. We started being more cautious, varying our routines, and always keeping an eye out for anything suspicious. Despite the fear and anxiety, Jamie and I grew closer. Jamie's unwavering support and belief in our right to a peaceful life strengthened my resolve. We decided to move in together, believing that a united front would make us stronger. One afternoon, while packing my things to move into Jamie's apartment, I found a small box hidden at the back of my closet. Inside were mementos from my relationship with Alex: photos, letters, little trinkets. I realized that I had been holding on to these relics of the past, perhaps out of a subconscious hope that Alex would change. But now it was time to let go completely. I took the box to the park where I first saw Alex stalking us and burned its contents, watching as the flames consumed every last trace of that toxic chapter of my life. It was a symbolic act of closure, a way to reclaim my narrative and move forward. As the last of the ashes scattered in the wind, I felt a renewed sense of freedom and determination. Alex might still be out there, watching, lurking, but I refused to let fear dictate my life. With Jamie by my side, I knew we could face whatever came next, together. Life with Jamie was everything I had hoped for and more. We settled into a comfortable routine, enjoying simple pleasures like cooking together, exploring new parts of the city, and binge-watching our favorite shows. Despite the lingering anxiety about Alex, I was determined to focus on the positive and not let fear overshadow our happiness. However, Alex's presence in our lives became increasingly intrusive. It started with unsettling incidents that were easy to dismiss as coincidences, but soon escalated into clear signs of stalking. One morning, Jamie found a note on their car windshield. It was typed with no signature, but the message was chillingly clear. "I'm always watching." We reported the note to the police, who took it seriously, but explained that without concrete evidence linking Alex to the threat, there was little they could do beyond filing a report. It was frustrating, feeling as though we were stuck in a loop of fear and helplessness. Jamie and I began documenting every incident meticulously, hoping to build a case that would finally prompt action. The tension in our lives continued to mount. One evening, we returned home to find the door to our apartment ajar. Inside, nothing seemed to be missing, but it was clear someone had been there. Drawers were left open, and items were slightly out of place. It was a violation that left us both shaken to our core. Jamie immediately installed additional locks and security cameras, turning our home into a fortress. But the sense of safety we had once felt was gone. Things took a darker turn when I started receiving messages from Alex directly. The texts were laced with venom and obsession, painting a twisted narrative where Alex was the victim of our breakup. One message read, "You belong with me. No one else can love you like I do." It was both a threat and a plea, underscoring the dangerous instability of Alex's mindset. Jamie and I decided to take a short trip to clear our heads and escape the oppressive atmosphere that had taken over our lives. We chose a secluded cabin in the mountains, hoping the isolation would provide some respite. For a couple of days, it felt like we were finally able to breathe again. We hiked, laughed, and for a moment, it seemed like the nightmare was behind us. But on the third night, as we sat by the fire, a loud bang shattered the tranquility. We rushed to the window and saw that someone had thrown a rock through the glass. Attached to it was another typed note. "You can't hide from me." The remote location we had chosen, thinking it would be a refuge, had become another stage for Alex's twisted game. We called the local police, who arrived quickly and took our statements. They assured us they would patrol the area, but the fear had taken root once more. We cut our trip short and returned home, now more vigilant than ever. The walls seemed to close in, and every shadow felt like a threat. Our relationship began to strain under the constant pressure. Jamie and I found ourselves snapping at each other over trivial things, the stress of being hunted by an unseen predator taking its toll. One particularly heated argument ended with Jamie storming out of the apartment. I sat on the couch, alone and trembling, realizing how much Alex's actions were fracturing the life we were trying to build. Jamie returned a few hours later, apologetic and equally devastated. We held each other, understanding that the only way to survive this ordeal was to stand united. We doubled down on our efforts to protect ourselves, changing phone numbers, varying our daily routines, and even considering moving to a new city. Despite these precautions, Alex's presence was an ever-present specter. We would catch glimpses of a familiar silhouette in crowded places, and once, Jamie's car tires were slashed. It felt like a siege, with no end in sight. We were prisoners in our own lives, constantly looking over our shoulders. The breaking point came one night when Jamie and I were out for dinner at a restaurant across town. We had chosen the place specifically because it was off our usual beaten path, hoping for a quiet evening away from our troubles. Halfway through our meal, my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number, a photo of Jamie and me, sitting at our table, taken from just outside the restaurant window. The message read, "I'm closer than you think." My heart pounded in my chest as I showed the text to Jamie. We both knew it was time to escalate matters. This was no longer just harassment, it was a direct threat to our safety. We contacted the police again, showing them the latest evidence. This time, they took immediate action, launching an investigation and assigning an officer to our case. That night, we didn't go home. Instead, we stayed with a friend, finding solace in the company of someone who understood the gravity of our situation. The support from friends and family became our lifeline, giving us the strength to keep fighting for our peace and safety. Jamie and I realized that we couldn't let Alex's actions destroy the love we had found in each other. We were determined to reclaim our lives and ensure that Alex would be held accountable. The path ahead was uncertain and fraught with challenges, but we knew that together we could face whatever came next. The escalation of Alex's stalking had left Jamie and me living in a state of constant fear. Despite our efforts to protect ourselves and the ongoing police investigation, it felt like Alex was always one step ahead. We knew something had to change, and soon, before things took an even darker turn. One evening, Jamie and I decided to attend a small party hosted by one of our close friends. We desperately needed a break from the suffocating anxiety that had become our daily existence. Surrounded by friends, laughter, and music, it felt like a weight had been lifted, even if just for a few hours. We started to believe that perhaps, just for tonight, we could reclaim a bit of normalcy. As the night progressed, I stepped outside to get some fresh air. The backyard was dimly lit, with fairy lights strung up around the fence, casting a soft glow. I took a deep breath, trying to savor the moment of peace. That's when I heard a rustle in the bushes. I turned, my heart leaping into my throat. Standing there, half hidden in the shadows, was Alex. The intensity in Alex's eyes was a mixture of anger and desperation. Before I could react, Alex stepped closer, and I could see the wild look on their face. "Why won't you listen to me?" Alex hissed, their voice low but filled with menace. "You belong with me. No one else will ever love you like I do." Panic surged through me, but I forced myself to stay calm. I needed to buy time, to find a way to alert Jamie and the others inside. "Alex, please, this isn't the way to do this. You need help," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Alex's expression twisted into a snarl. "Help? The only help I need is to get you back." At that moment, Jamie stepped out of the house looking for me. Their eyes widened in shock as they took in the scene. "Get away from them, Alex," Jamie said, stepping protectively between us. Alex's face contorted with rage. "You think you can just take them from me? They're mine." Before I knew what was happening, Alex lunged at Jamie. Chaos erupted as the two of them struggled. I screamed for help, and within seconds, our friends rushed outside. Several of them managed to pull Alex off Jamie, restraining them until the police arrived. The officers took Alex into custody, and this time, with the eyewitness accounts and the evidence we had been collecting, they were able to charge Alex with stalking, harassment, and assault. It was a small victory, but it felt monumental. The immediate threat was finally neutralized. In the days that followed, Jamie and I worked closely with the police, ensuring that a solid case was built against Alex. We obtained a restraining order, and Alex was held without bail, pending trial. The sense of relief was overwhelming, but the scars of the ordeal remained. Jamie and I decided that a fresh start was necessary. We moved to a new city, far from the memories and the haunting presence of Alex. It was a difficult decision, leaving behind our friends and the life we had begun to build. But it was also an opportunity to reclaim our future without the constant shadow of fear. In our new home, we took every precaution to ensure our safety. We installed a state-of-the-art security system, stayed vigilant, and remained in close contact with law enforcement. Slowly, we began to rebuild our lives. The trauma of what we had endured didn't disappear overnight, but with time, therapy, and the unwavering support of each other, we started to heal. One day, while unpacking boxes in our new apartment, I found a letter Jamie had written to me during the height of our ordeal. It was a heartfelt message of love, hope, and the promise of better days ahead. Reading it, I was reminded of the strength we had found in each other, and how, despite everything, our love had endured. The trial against Alex was a lengthy and painful process, but ultimately, justice was served. Alex was sentenced to several years in prison and mandated to undergo psychiatric treatment. Knowing that Alex was no longer a threat provided a sense of closure, allowing us to fully embrace our new beginning. Jamie and I turned the page on that dark chapter, focusing on the future we were building together. We joined new communities, made new friends, and started to dream about what lay ahead. Through it all, we never forgot the lessons we had learned, the importance of vigilance, the strength of our bond, and the resilience of the human spirit. In sharing our story, we hope to offer solace and strength to others who might be facing similar nightmares. We wanted to show that it was possible to overcome fear and reclaim one's life, even when it seemed like the darkness would never end. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and that was more than enough. Together, Jamie and I faced each day with renewed hope, knowing that whatever challenges came our way, we would face them side by side, stronger and more united than ever before.